I was watching a video on YouTube, as you do, from the one and only Miss Brewbird. Now this video was on whether or not she should purchase a Scotch whiskey cask, and I didn't even know that was a thing that you could do. Now I'm not going to spoil the video on whether or not she purchases it. You can watch that for yourself. I'll link it down below in the description. But it got me thinking, what other sort of alternative investments can you make with your money? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jacob Fisher, and today we're talking about alternative investments that you can make that are not stocks. Let's give that like button just a little touch and get into it. I'm not an investment professional, so this video is for entertainment purposes only. Now, I don't know if I need to say that for alternative investments, but I felt like it was the smartest thing to do. Real estate can be an alternative investment, but that is so obvious that I just didn't want to include that in the very first one. So, the first idea will be the lending market, and we'll get into real estate later on. I know it's kind of boring, and I know I've mentioned it in other videos, but lending out your money through sites like Lending Club is a great way to make some progress on your money without actually buying stocks. I'm not advocating you should do this because lending out your money to people is inherently risky, though doing it through the website provides a bit more security in your money. It is a solid way to make decent gains, around 5 to 12% per year, depending what you choose to do through them. They hold it for a certain amount of time and you make money on it, whether it be 5 or 10 years, you're giving out that loan. And apparently they have a better track record than the actual stock market, which is kind of impressive. However, I feel like if something like the recession happened, you would have people defaulting, maybe declaring bankruptcy on their loans, and then they wouldn't need to pay it back, depending on what they declared, obviously. But then you would be out some money, I assume. I don't know the full logistics of that if somebody declares bankruptcy and whether or not they need to pay it back, but with Lending Club, you're not just lending it out to a single person, you're lending it out to multiple people. So it's more secure than just lending out your money. Let's move on to another form of alternative investment. This one is in the realm of alcohol. It's not whiskey, it's wine. Because as we know, the more you age wine, the more expensive it gets. I mean, you can't just go out there, buy a bottle of Yellowtail for $12 and wait 5 years and then sell it for $300. It doesn't work like that. But you can buy wine that is set to age or that ages really well from an already established, reputable winery. And then you age it yourself in a secure location and then you sell it. Looking at this chart, apparently the wine market has outpaced the S&P 500 over the last 15 years. You're gonna need to know a lot about wine before you get into this. You can't just you need to do some research pretty much, like you do with the stock market, but with wine. There are obviously better wines than others. Again, Yellowtail, not a good example, but if you know what wines you can buy and that have historically returned increased values as they age, that's what you can look for in a wine. There are a number of factors that affect the aging process of wine, like tannins and acidity and just the general structure of the wine. Just a quick little factor for what I learned from doing this research is that wine with low tannins has difficulty aging properly. That means that white wine generally doesn't age very well and red wine ages better. I guess you really just need to find a wine that has aged before and produces historical market gains, has high tannins and acidity. So that's kind of just the gist I got from it. But you obviously don't need to know all of that, and I'm no expert in the field, obviously. So how do we go about buying into a general fund or something of someone who knows what they're doing? Sites like Vinovest allow you to do this, or you can buy actual stocks on the stock market. I know I said alternative, but apparently there are wine stocks on the stock market. Of course, you can learn how to do this yourself with the aging and storing the wine properly, and you can buy wine from the London International Vintners Exchange. But obviously buying the stocks and buying through Vinovest would be significantly easier. I found a company called Constellation Brands, ticker symbol STZ, that has produced 15,000% gains in its lifetime. Now, most of the gains came in the past 10 to 15 years, but it's just interesting to see that there are wine companies on the stock market. I mentioned Vinovest. Now, how that works is that they will store the wine for you. So you go to Vinovest, you sign up for an account, you do all that stuff, and then you buy a single wine on there, or multiple wine, obviously. But you choose the actual wine you buy and then you own it. They just store it for you. So you do actually own the wine on the website apparently, but They do charge a 2.85% fee. It's not very well advertised on their site. You have to kind of go digging to find out how much they charge you. And you need $1,000 minimum deposit to start. So that's an option if you actually want to invest in the wine market, which I didn't even know was around, and now it's just kind of fascinating to see. I'm kind of tempted to do it myself. Now moving on, before we get into real estate, you could go into venture capital if you have enough money. Like the people you see on Shark Tank, except you would be the shark in this case. Of course, these sharks have an absolute boatload of money and are very good at investing in venture capital, but there are sites for the average investor like you and me to invest in startups. This site, microventures.com, allowed you and me to invest in startups. These are just some of the current ideas on their site, and if you like any of the ideas, you could choose to invest in them. They've had a multitude of apparently successful venture capital startups on their website, so maybe your next investment could turn into the next Spotify. I don't know. Finally, we have real estate, which I would argue is the easiest way to become a millionaire. Bold words, I know, and I'm gonna break all of that down in a future video. But investing in real estate has always been a great idea. With average rate of returns of about 10% for increase in home value, that goes in line with the average stock market returns. And maybe you choose an area that is up and coming and then turns into 20 to 30% gains per year. It all just depends, similar to the stock market. Then, moving into rental properties, as long as you are cash flowing or cash positive, you will be making more money with real estate. For example, if your rental property mortgage is $1,800 a month and you rent it out for $2,200 a month, you would be cash positive that extra $400 a month, whether it be for repairs or just you to take in. Not to mention that the renter who is renting the house is actually paying your mortgage, so really they're increasing your overall net worth by paying that mortgage down through the rent, and then you get obviously the little $400 extra, or more or less. It just depends how much you rent it out and how much a mortgage is. There is obviously a ton of other work that goes into renting out properties. You have so much to worry about when you do that. So there is a lot of stress involved with that, but it is an alternative investment. Really, there are a ton of factors that go into real estate, and it's not all about mortgage, about rent. There's just a million different things that could happen, like a recession or a housing bubble boom. A lot of different factors that go into it, and then at the end of your mortgage, you get a physical asset out of it. When you buy stocks, you're not really owning anything necessarily physical. You can't walk into the door of your stocks and then sit there. Let me know down in the comments what you think of these alternative investment ideas, and if you're going to do any, or if you're trying to do some of them right now. I would love to know that. I upload videos on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on travel and finance. So if that sounds like something of interest to you, make sure you subscribe down below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.